Shalom. First off, I'd like to give an all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Yahweh, who the world didn't really call God, in the name of Yahushai, who the world didn't really call Jesus Christ. Secondly, I'd like to give a double honor to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule well, who continue to teach us this truth, and a salutation to you, Akim, out there, doing the work of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, sincerely. All right? Now, the name of this lesson is Isaiah chapters 1 through 20. All right, it's just going to be a breakdown of these 20 verses in Isaiah 14. Salakia, Isaiah 14, 1 through 20. All right, so without further ado, let's just get right to it. This is Isaiah chapter 14, and it says, "For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and yet will choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave unto the house of Jacob." All right, so this is talking about a prophecy, man. It said that the Lord is going to essentially bring his nation, all right, the nation of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and the people that descend from them. He's going to bring you back to your heritage. He's going to bring you back to your land. All right, when he brings you back to the land, these strangers, these people from these other nations, the heathen, they're going to cleave onto you, man. They're going to want to be around you. All right? It says, verse 2, "And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were." All right, so all these people who we were under subjection on in the past, all right, that you can read about in the book of Judges, even this kingdom now, the so-called white man, all right, when we were under the Moabites, we were under all these other nations, man. All these people who took us captives, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, all these same people, all these same spirits that took us captive then, all right, well, these are the same people who we're going to take captive, man. We're going to take them captive, and they're going to be used as handmaids, all right, and servants in our land. It says, "And they shall rule over their oppressors," all right? So we're going to rule over our oppressors, man. The nation of Israel is going to rule over their oppressors, man. That's what the kingdom of heaven is all about, man. The nation of Israel coming to their royal standpoint, man, coming to their royal character. All right. It says, "And it shall come to pass that in the day that the Lord, that in that day the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear." Exactly, man. In these days, man, the days of the kingdom of heaven, the days where we're gonna rule over our oppressors. All right, the Lord is we're gonna be cured from our sorrow, man. We're gonna be cured from our pain, from our suffering. All right, because that's the number one thing that we all do, man. We all suffer, man. We're all suffering under the so-called white man. We're all suffering in the flesh, man. We're suffering under the so-called white man, man, because the so-called white man is ultimately a wicked man. He's a wicked being, you know. And then we're suffering in this flesh, man, because no matter how hard we try, we're always going to fall short of the glory of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. So the Lord is going to give us rest from our sorrow and from our fear. And it says, "And from hardcore bondage, wherein thou was made to serve." All right, and He's also going to give us, He's going to give us a break, man. We're gonna be relieved of that hardcore bondage which we were made to serve. It says that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, "How hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased." All right. So this is going to be said. This is going to be the proverb that's going to say, man. That's going to be said. It said to the king of Babylon. All right. But in modern day, this is talking about ultimately the so-called white man. All right. It says, "How has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth." All right. It says the whole world is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Exactly. So this man who has essentially ruled the world with an iron fist for so long, all right, when he gets taken down, the world is going to be set at rest. It's going to be quiet. It says, "Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since thou art laid down, no feller has come up against us. Exactly, man. Even the trees are going to be happy when this man goes down, man, because no one's going to cut them down. It says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy beginning. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It raiseth up from their thrones all the kings of the nations, and it shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? All right, so in other words, the so-called white man is going to join all these other kingdoms that have fallen, man. It says, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? All right. It says, thy pump is brought down, thy pump is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols. All right. It says, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. All right, so the so-called white man's kingdom is gonna decay, man. It's in decay already. It's gonna be destroyed, man, and his pride is gonna be brought down. All right, the music, all right, the good news of his kingdom is gonna be turned into nothing, man. The so-called white man is gonna be taken down 100%. It says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?" All right, and Lucifer meaning light bearer. All right, this is talking about the so-called white man because right now they have the light, they have the information. All right, they have the knowledge, man. All right, but on the right hand side, on the left hand side, that is the so-called white man, but on the left hand side is the elect of the nation of Israel, man. It says, "How art thou cut down to the ground, with which didst weaken the nations?" All right, so the so-called white man, he was great, man. He is a great power, but he's gonna be weakened. All right, it says, "For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars." All right, with his space program. The so called white man said he was going to ascend, all right, into the heavens, and he was going to exalt his throne above the stars, man. That's with his space program, all right, space travel. It says, "I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High," because ultimately that's what the so called white man wants to do, man. He wants to be like the Most High. But what he doesn't understand is that he's gonna fall short, man. Because at the end of the day, he's just a man. It says, "Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?" Exactly, man. So they're gonna look at you, they're gonna be like, "Wow, is this the man? Really? Is this really the guy who who made the earth tremble?" All right. That's the type of state. That's the state that you're gonna be in, man. That's the state that the so-called white man is gonna be in. That the nations are gonna wonder if this is really the man who made the nations tremble like he did, man. It says, um, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. All right. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of the grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden underfoot. Exactly, man. So the so-called white man is going to be turned into nothing. He's going to be turned into. He's going to be like a like like a carcass trodden underfoot, man. His kingdom is going to go down, all right, and ultimately his nation is going to go down. They're going to be destroyed, man. It says, "Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land, slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned." All right. So unlike these other kingdoms that are remembered, like the Assyrians, the Babylonians, all right, the Egyptians, the kingdom of the so-called white man is going to be cast out, man. The kingdom of the so-called white man is not going to be renowned. It's not going to be a kingdom that is going to be remembered, man. Because ultimately, the so-called white man is going to be extinct. All right, that's what's going to happen, man. And this is a beautiful prophecy that's spoken of in the book of Isaiah, man. And it continues with these first 20 verses, man. You get the gist of what is going on, man. So this was just a quick little breakdown of Isaiah chapter 14, 1 through 20. I like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Shai, the waters, the apostles, and the elders of the great millstone who rule well, who continue to teach us this truth. And salutations to you, Akim, out there doing the work of Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right, until next time, Shalom.